Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we are going to be talking about Gauntlet IV on the Sega Genesis. So this is an arcade game, and mostly I think it's a lot of fun. It does still have some of the issues that the original arcade game had, and yeah, there's some... I think there are better versions of Gauntlet out there than this one. So you can play as either the warrior, the wizard, or the elf. The Valkyrie seemed to be kind of hardwired into the second player, so I couldn't play as that one. All of them kind of play the same, but they have different health, and yeah, that's really about it. Some of them seem a little bit more powerful than others, but for the most part, it kind of felt like I was playing the same thing, or doing the same thing, since they all have a range attack with them. The first thing that really annoys me is your health is constantly going down. I really don't think this is something that they should have kept from the arcade game. I kind of get why they wanted to keep it, but it's still really annoying. What you're doing in this game is just fighting off hordes of enemies, and you're trying to destroy the little spawners that they come out of. This is not the Gauntlet game that I would recommend to somebody. If this was going to be your first one, I would try to play something like Legends, because I think that one was just much better than this. Each player is going to basically be doing the same thing, though. So as you can see, it's not really the most visually impressive game out there. It is kind of it's kind of simple. It does look good, especially when, you're running around and everything like that. It looks like there is a lot going on, because there really is. They're just throwing a whole bunch of stuff at you, and you kind of need to figure out how to get to certain things. What I don't like is... this kind of goes into gameplay a little bit, but I don't like how you can shoot and destroy your own food. You can't destroy the treasures, but you can destroy the stuff that's supposed to, regenerate your health. And that kind of gets annoying, because you're trying to line up to shoot the enemies and whatnot, and your health items just get in the way. And that's part of the visual issues with this. It's also kind of annoying to try to line up your shots, because you'll think you're on track to hit it, but the game just tells you you're not. I covered a few of these already, but I don't like that your health is constantly being whittled down as you're playing the game. It's not really that fun to play it when it's like that. I wish they had just left it alone. It does kind of create a bit of a sense of urgency, but I really hate how it just does that. I also don't like the way that you have to try to maneuver yourself around in order to shoot the enemies. It just makes things more annoying than they really have to be. I understand it's an arcade game and everything, but that was really annoying. With Gauntlet IV, I really hate the tutorial system. You'll be playing along, and all of a sudden it'll just grind to a halt, because they need to throw up a box that says, oh, by the way, eating food will help you out. I kind of figured that. I could have figured that out by just playing the game. I didn't need to know that. I didn't need to know that when the enemies hit me, they take life away. It was just really stupid the way they did the tutorial in this. Aside from the stuff that I don't like, it is fun to just run around and shoot a whole bunch of enemies. It's just great to do that. I don't think this one is the best, though. I would still prefer something like Gauntlet Legends to it, because that one, I think, is just... it's more friendly to modern players, and it's just a bit more fun than this one is. So I just wanted to talk briefly about kind of the missed opportunities that Atari had. So Atari had a bunch of issues, just way too many issues to talk about here. But one of them was having a franchise that actually was marketable. And I think Gauntlet was a very marketable franchise. They could have really done a lot more with it. I mean, they made it up to 4 games, and there might have been more that I've missed. But they kind of squandered what they had with Gauntlet, just like they did with a lot of their other arcade games. once they kind of hit hard times, Atari ended up selling Gauntlet and a lot of the other IPs that they had. So you had this case where they were no longer making Gauntlet games. They had sold that off to, Midway bought them up, so they no longer had the rights to make any of the Gauntlet games, and they don't have any rights to them anymore. Now it's passed on to Warner Brothers. And I feel like this could have been one of those situations where Atari could have actually created something. At least created something that lasted longer than what it did. Because you had at that point you had 3 characters who were fairly marketable. You had created a 4th one, and they could have done something with that. They could have, done what Midway had done and given these characters names, given them some personality or something, and created a franchise that was going to last a little bit longer than what it did. And they could have not necessarily created something like Mario, but they could have created something better. They could have built off of this, whole arcade feel, and they could have made more games with Gauntlet, kind of like how Sega did it with a bunch of their games. Final Fantasy, Square did it with Final Fantasy. They did it with Dragon Quest as well. I just feel like they could have done more with this series than what they did. So, final thoughts on Gauntlet 4. It's a fun Gauntlet game. The problem is, it's just repeating the same stuff that was done in the first 3 Gauntlets. It didn't really move the franchise in any new directions. It kind of stayed to what they knew, and they played it safe with this one. If they had tried something different, if they had added some quirks into the gameplay, I think it would have stood out more and it would have been a little bit better. That's, of course, me talking in hindsight about this, so maybe that wouldn't have worked out. But I think looking at this now that it was a fun franchise, Gauntlet 4 was a fun game, but there could have been more to it than what it was presented to us here. Just looking over the gameplay and everything like that, this could have been a great kind of action-adventure game, or not really an action-adventure, an action RPG game. They could have done something where you would gain levels and everything, and there would have been a more logical evolution to it. Hell, it could have been a roguelike for anything else. So that's going to wrap things up, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you later. Bye.